Hello, wonderful people. Hello, hello. So, this is the beginning of the Caminals Lab, the very beginning, and I'm just so excited to have put all this together. So, here we go. Alphabet letters and how I classified them. Come on, there we go. Different types of alphabets. Here are some different types of alphabets. We've got Urdu, Cyrillic. Do you know what Urdu writes for? Oh, is it Pakistani? They speak Urdu in Pakistan. Uh, I should have reviewed all these. I haven't looked at this in years, this part of it. Um, Cyrillic, which I believe is the Russian alphabet. So that's how they write Russian. Oh, and then there's the Latin alphabet underneath it, just to compare Cyrillic. Oh, Serbo-Croatian alphabets. I don't even know what that is. Well, I know Serbia and Croatia. I mean, that used to be Yugoslavia, and now it's two separate nations. Oh, by the way, in 1993, when I was in the Navy, that was one of our big jobs. We flew over Serbia and Croatia, enforcing a no-fly zone, which worked for a couple of years, but then it went into civil war. Very sad. Cyrillic. In Myanmar, they have these circle-based letters. American Sign Language, which is the English alphabet just put into hand motions. You could, I don't want to get bogged down in details here. Here's the Arabic alphabet and even how to pronounce them. So there's Ka, Alif. So if you've heard of Wiz Khalifa, that's not his whole name. There's another letter in it. Oh, by the way, I didn't teach him. He was a little older, but I taught his cousin. I don't know why I'm going off on so many tangents today. So that's Arabic. And of course, you know, our numbers are Arabic. So do you see any similarities with numbers? No. Well, there's a one. A couple of things look like maybe a two, some three looking things. Anyway, ancient Greek. So when you drive through a university and you see all the Greek houses, these are the three letters that they put out on front to say who they are. That's where most people are familiar with these from. Pi. I think most people know pi from math. And if you've taken math, and you're in high school, so I'm sure you've seen theta. And if you're in my class, I know you've seen delta. Any others that we do? Phi, you see out in the real world sometimes. Psi for psychology. Sigma in math, the sum of things. Anyway, this is Hebrew. Aleph. Where's Aleph? Oh, shoot. Oh, there it is. Aleph. So that I see in math, you might not see in math, but I see in math all the time. What are some others? Ooh, not a lot of letters from Hebrew make it over into everyday, ordinary English stuff in your average American high school. And next, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, the domain is alphabets, and the kingdom is the English alphabet. I hope you recognize this from biology class. The phylum, the group of the English alphabet that I'm gonna classify are just the capital letters. So I've divided them up into letters that have straight lines and letters that have not straight lines. Then there are times when you lift the pen in order to go, like when you're doing A, you have to lift your pen to cross it, and then there are letters that you can do the whole thing without lifting your pen. And for the curves, there are where it's a partial curve or the whole letter is all curves. Family is, I can't remember what's turned and unturned. Is there many lines to make up the letter or one line? And then finally, the genus. How many turns are made in there? 0, 1, 2, 3 turns. How many times do you have to lift it? Is it based on a circle? There's 3 circle-based parts in here. And a non-circle based, I'll explain that later. and tails and tight curves. So we're going to have to look at them. So there's no turns. When you make an I, it's one straight line. One turn for an L and a V. N and Z have two turns, and M and W have three turns. So I hope all that makes sense. You can write all these without having to lift your pen. It's unlifted. For A, F, and T, you have to lift your pen. All these letters, you have to lift your pen somewhere. And here you have to lift it twice. The proper way to draw an H is line, line, then cross. Okay, so then over here, circle based. So there's the perfect circle, the letter O. C, you just take a part of it out. Q, you add a line. D, you kind of squish it a little on the top and bottom and a lot on the left side, but it's still a squished circle. And G, well, you break the circle over there and you bend it in and you flatten it aside. So G is still basically based on a circle. Now, I'm just looking at the circle of the whole O. And so in that regard, I say S is not based on a circle. Now you could say that S is like two circles, like a number 8 and it's missing, but nope, that's not how I classify my things. Your classification system can be different, but this is mine. So the S is not based on a circle, and it's got a lot of curves in there, and it's all curve. Unlike the letter D, which is partial curve, because there's a curve here, but this is obviously straight. The tail in the Q is straight. Tail based means that the J is a straight line, and then you give it a little tail, a little tail at the end, and that's what that is. U, P, R, and B all have tight curves, so this U is a tight one. Probably the R and P are the tightest. The bottom of the B is a little looser. So does this make sense how I divided this up now? That was me describing how I arranged the alphabet based on a classification of characteristics, the characteristics of the English capital letters, from the top down using the Neo-Linneanan system, which is basically domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Now, you may realize that I'm cheating a little bit because I go from capital letters to English to alphabets, but so sue me. Now I'm going to do the same. Now let's do the same classification of characteristics from the bottom up, only using a different format, phylogenetic trees. Please note the colors to draw the parallels here, and I'll come back to this later. So now I'm starting at the bottom. So I've got, it's all straight letters. All these letters are made of purely straight lines up until there. After K, then we start breaking things up into curvy parts. Again, well, I'm obviously gonna have to repeat myself. I'll try to be a little quicker. The I is just a straight line, or yeah, actually these are the letters I used. These L and V have one turn in them, and Z have two turns in them. Up and down, up, Z, right, left, right. M and W have three turns in them. So now I take these characteristics and I group them up into something bigger. So C and O are both circle based. S is not based on a circle. It's got too many tight curves. D and Q are based on a circle, and so is G, circle based. It's just got cut and a little squished. So these letters all have tight curves, the bottom of the U, the sides of the P, R, and B. The J is just a straight line with a little tail on it. And how many times do you lift your pen? You have to lift it 3 times for EHK, 2 times for AFTXY. And these letters, you don't lift it at all, but you do make turns with your pen. So now I group it into a larger characteristic. All these turns are turned, and the I is still all by itself, unturned. These, I lifted my pen, so they all get grouped into the family of the lifted. These all have many lines? We're going to skip over that. all curves. S and C and O are all curves. This many line, one line thing. I'm breaking it down into all curves, partial curves. All these letters have partial curves. So there's some straight part. D, obviously, J, B, even the G is straight where it comes up, and then the cross part on the T is straight. So this is partial curves. These are only curves. These are lifted, and then the unturned and the turned are all unlifted. So there's lifted and unlifted for the orders. Then we go up one more level, and these letters are all made with a straight line, one or more. These all have a curve in them. Some are all curves, some are partial curves, but they all are not straight. And then finally, it's all the capital letters that are in the English alphabet and one of the many alphabets out there in the world. Okay, so this version is the Neo-Linneanan. That's our genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom, domain. And this is the phylogenetic tree. So I start off with all the letters down here, and then I group them. This is a group of 4, a group of 2, and then these 2 letters and this 1 letter come together and make a group. And you just work your way up the tree. Now down here, you see that this is the same thing as this chart, only upside down. So when I was working my way through here, I just kept adding the bigger line on the bottom so you could reflect this there. So this is the chart going down. This is that same chart going up. And this, the phylogenetic tree system, starts with the letters on the bottom and goes up. Just like this goes up, but this has letters on top and comes down. So what was the point of all this? Because they are a classification of characteristics. One I did from the top down, the other from the bottom up, and one I did with the Linnean system, and one with phylogenetic trees. Is that making all sense now? I hope so. So there's the phylogenetic tree. And here's my question to you. Do you want to try to classify those same letters using your own made-up system, or do we move on to what's next? So you're going to use, actually, you see the way these letters are shaped, those aren't the letters you're going to use because they have those little tabs and tails on them. You're going to use this letter, which is a different font. And if you wanted to get into classifying fonts, I would love that, but I'm not going to get that crazy. So you're going to use these letters up here, which are a little more simple and straightforward. So why don't we do that? Do you want to try to classify those same letters on using your own made-up system? And like I said, there's nothing scientific about this. This is just me making stuff up. These letters don't have evolution. They're not following the laws of natural selection or anything else. So I just want you to get practice making this, a phylogenetic tree. Okay? Thank you very much. This is going to be the assignment number 1. Okay, bye-bye.